Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and well, this weekend and the weekend previously, I went to two indoor fishing reel flea markets. Well, they're fishing flea markets. I search for the reels more than anything, but they're general tackle flea markets. You can buy rods, reels, just about any kind of plugs, your sinkers and your line weights, your bass stuff, all kinds of things. And generally, I just go to say hello to the vendors. I have a lot of friends in the community, and just check out what might be new. For example, I got the opportunity to play around with a Penn Authority reel today, or during the flea market. It was a beautiful reel. I kind of liked it an awful lot, and now I can report back if anybody's looking for those things. They're very beautiful reels. Expensive, but beautiful. Well, I did manage to find a few buys, and I thought I would share those with you, and we'll talk about which ones may or may not become subjects of videos. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button if you like that, if you want to see the videos, and well, if you just want to see what I bought at flea markets. Occasionally those show up. I haven't been very active in flea markets of late. I probably have enough reels to last me for a while, and by last I mean, well, become subjects of videos, become ones that I'm just personally curious about and want to see more about the insides of and how they work, and well, as parts reels for projects that come into my shop. So okay, so let's get started. Those of you that are observing are kind of noticing that there's a Penn spin fisher in here. There's actually two of them in here. Now again, I don't normally go to these places and try to buy reels. I got enough of them for sure, but these two were bargains, and I was able to do if I buy both of them, can I get it at a good price, sort of a conversation. But this one's got a noticeable gear grind. You're not going to hear it on the film, but there's a noticeable gear grind, so the gears have to be replaced. And the handle, which unfortunately you can't just replace the knob on these, you got to buy the whole handle assembly. Well, that's come loose somehow. Something's broken away inside. So I think what I bought this for, quite honestly, when I was trying to do some logic behind it, is I haven't done the 7500 Spin Fisher 5. And this is actually a lesson in when do you pay too much to try to fix a reel. So this handle alone is going to be about $32. The main gear, the pinion gear, and the oscillation gear, and I recommend if you have a gear problem, you replace all three gears, not just the one. Those are going to run about $20. Then you think about the price paid, and these reels at the end of the 5 series, when they were getting discounted, were being discounted for about $125. So this is, by the time this gets repaired, it's probably going to be close to that number, and it'll be a lesson, and maybe at that point you shouldn't consider doing something like this. We'll find out. I think it's going to run nice and smooth when we're done. It definitely is a gearing issue. I'd like to know what caused it, and stay tuned, if you will, to find out how it gets resolved. Well, yep, there's another one peeking through there. This is the other one. This is the 6500 Spin Fisher 5, and so this is the one that caught my interest because this one is a beauty. This one's just working very nicely, and there wasn't that much of a difference when they were asking price between this one and the bigger version, the 7500. And then we started, doing a little bit of work on it, 6500, and we got it about half the price. So, yeah, we're gonna. So, my thinking was, if I can just kind of service this one, find somebody who's looking to pay the right price for it, I'd probably get this one for nothing. And then if I go put the replacement gearing in there, then I've got a nice reel that maybe I'll take fishing myself. I don't have a large 7500 series reel. So 6500 and 7500 Penn Spin Fisher. Then you get into the unique stuff that's always, why did I go to the flea market anyway, right? For $2, I got myself the bait baffler. It's one of those little lovely things that came along somewhere in life that keeps worms in there, and probably still have a worm in there. At least I have the dirt from the worms still in there. And those are just those little tackle box curiosities. This is actually a belt loop here. So you hang it on your belt, and when you go to get the bait, you just kind of flip the switch. Go ahead and do that, and then kind of hold it back for your belt. So every now and then I just leave a few of these things laying around my shop just because they're fun. So what else did I find? I found a card that should have some lures on it. There you go. They have these 3 little Castmaster type lures. It's not Castmaster. I go through these things like it's nobody's business. I love the little Castmasters. This was actually called Snapper Zapper Lures, and I'll tell you what, they work. I don't know, based on the printing of this stuff, my guess is that this is somewhere in the 1970s, maybe 80s. F.J. Neal Company out of Lindenhurst, New York, right on the south shore of Long Island, made in Taiwan. So of course most of the stuff today is made in China, so that probably is going to date that if I want to try and find a little bit more about it. Then I found kind of a unique reel to me. I like it. This is an Olympic dolphin. It's lost its badge. It's got a green side plate to it. It's a small format reel, kind of looks like the Penn series reel. It's not. It was made in Japan. And despite the looks of age, this thing is going. Turns nice and free and easy. Sort of set up similar to, say, a Daiwa Millionaire or that, a little bit more rugged on the outside. Like these reels, for the few dollars I paid for it, it was well worth it. And then I found a Ambassador 5000 earlier edition, Abu made in Sweden. And you can always tell the earlier editions, the small handles and that. But you know what? It's working. And again, for a few dollars, it was sort of like, well, one, I like the reels. This one's working fine. It's got a free spool. It's up there. We got a button that's going to click. It does feel dirty. It does look dirty. But that thing should go right back into fishing again. So only for a few bucks there. Those were my reel purchases, except for a box of parts reels. And this one's sort of along the lines of, why would I pay money for this kind of stuff, right? But we got a whole box in here, and the whole box was under $50. For the most part, it's Jigmaster frames and gearing, and most part it's the USA versions of the Jigmasters. And for the most part, if I wanted to really try hard, I could probably put 3 or 4 reels together. But the parts by themselves are always of value, and especially the older ones, when you like to match the parts rather than putting in the newer parts that were made in China. So for an example, if you were to try and purchase a bridge, that's this section here with the gear post on it, those are running about $18 to $20 without shipping. The pinion gear inside of that is running about $12 to $14. The main gear is probably running about $8. So when you start to look at that, just the bridge, the main gear, and the pinion gear, all by themselves as parts, if you were to replace them, is running about $30 or so. The handles are always hard to find. This one's just hasn't been taken care of, but I have a few of these. I have one. Here's 2 with the stainless bridge, or the chrome-plated bridge. Here's one that's almost full. 3. That's the 4th. Now this one is kind of interesting. This one is the 500S. And the difference between your basic Jigmaster, this one, and the 500S is that most of the Jigmasters have a single take-apart screw that's located on the handle side of the reel. Handle isn't here, of course, but on the handle side of the reel. With the 500S, the take-apart was on the other side of the reel. So it's not on the handle side, it's on the non-handle, or what we usually call the bearing side of the reel. And, well, the problem that you have with these is frame strength. It's just one of those things that it's just not as solid or strong as the others. Now, of course, that single take-apart screw, well, that was all set up for easy maintenance, so you can take the reel apart, put a couple of drops of oil in there, and it was also for changing out your spools. So if you had 2 or 3 different spools with different line weights on it, if you went out, say you were targeting a bottom fish that averaged 5 pounds, maybe you have a spool with 12 or 15 pound test on it, and then you want to head out into deeper water and you want 20 or 25 pound test on it, simply pop this spool in don't, bring your replacement spool and go for that, right? All right, so we have 4 or 5 of those. Here's another one. This is the 500 side and a spool. That one's kind of beat up, but you know what? If it's true, it doesn't matter too much. And here's another one. That one's kind of ugly, but you know what? We've got good cosmetic pieces and parts on these. We have the reel seats. We have the crossbars. If you have an older one that has the single posts, always a good idea to change out your jig master to the 2-for-1 post. It's just a more solid frame, and you can probably see from this, I can, and maybe it's a little bit more difficult for you to see, but these posts are running on an angle, which means that you have frame twist in this reel, and with the more solid post, it helps you to avoid that. So I have about 6 or 7 of these where I have the bridges and the like. I have 5 spools, 6 spools. I have 2 or 3 handles. I think you'll all agree that this box was well worth the price paid, even though I wasn't looking for it. Somebody just said, make me an offer. I made a stupid offer, and they said, sure. Nobody around here is going to buy these pieces and parts anyway, so I felt good about that. So the lesson learned here is, if you have a use for something like that, they're a good buy. You just need to understand the pieces and parts and how you're going to use them. In this case, if you were into building project reels, again, you have enough spools and gear sides and the like that we can probably get 3 or 4 whole reels out of that. But more importantly, if you're fixing reels for charter boats like I do that use the jig masters, well, I think I have enough that will make it more affordable for them as they bring their reels in for service and repair. Well, there's 2 more. You saw one on a video that I had done earlier. This is the Penn 720. One of our keen-eyed viewers noticed that, well, when I showed the reel, we didn't have a line guide assembly, that little roller there. Well, I was able to substitute one from a different reel, not a Penn reel, but one that fit the way it should. And now I have the line roller on that. And if you want to see the full service on this one, it is in the library now, and it's been posted recently. And then the last one, just a couple of dollars on this one. This was a True Temper 922C. This was after True Temper had purchased Ocean City, so this is the Ocean City 922. This was in the bargain bin. It was in the bargain bin because this line guide was not running in its track. It was loose to the side, and I guess somebody didn't know that you can simply rotate this and reset it without doing anything. This one's a beauty. And we're going to tune this one up and make sure that this one gets a second chance as well. So I didn't go to the market to buy fishing reels. Somehow I managed with a few of them. All of them I have a designated use for before I decided to go with them. And well, we'll give them all a second chance to get out there. I'm particularly interested in the little things that I found. That little bait box is kind of unique. The little lures, the snapper lures, they'll certainly be put to good use, and we'll get the rest of these out there trying to catch some fish as well. So that's what I found at the flea market. I would encourage you to search your yard sales, garage sales, flea markets, and if you're fortunate enough to have a town or an area where you do have fishermen's flea markets, then try one of those. You'll never know what you're going to find. You may come up with a couple of surprises like I did. I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you do to keep us safe. To everyone, good luck in your hunting for used reels to go give a second chance. Good luck in your fishing endeavors. I hope as the spring comes near, you'll be able to make sure and certain to have a good time out there fishing with friends, and maybe even catching a few things while you're at it. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.